The alarm screamed through the empty maintenance corridors, echoing off metal walls and shaking dust from the ceiling vents. Liam Carter, the janitor, was already running, mop in one hand, bucket bouncing against his leg. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. His routine evening cleaning had turned into a nightmare the second he heard the frantic, broken cry echoing from the lower decks. He skidded around a corner and froze. In the dim, flickering light lay a figure unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin glowed faintly, like pale glass lit from within. Her limbs were slender but strangely jointed, her fingers tipped with fine, translucent membranes. She gasped, a musical, broken sound that made Liam's chest tighten. Blood darkened the floor beneath her, and her pulse flickered in rhythm with the eerie glow. She was alive, barely, and every second counted. "Please, hurry," she whispered in a voice that sounded like wind chimes breaking. Before Liam could answer, a security drone rounded the corner, its scanners locking onto the alien princess. Red lights flashed. A mechanical voice barked, "Unauthorized entity detected. Containment required." It hovered closer, armed with a small but deadly energy taser. Liam's heart pounded. He had no time to think, no time to call for help that would never come fast enough. Instinct took over. Liam dropped his mop and scooped her into his arms. Her weight was lighter than he expected, but she trembled violently. He tucked her carefully against his chest, whispering, "I've got you. I won't let them take you." The drone fired, sparks bouncing off the walls. Liam dove toward a side corridor, sliding across the slick metal floor. Every second he delayed could cost her life. As he ran, he noticed details that made him pause just for a fraction of a second. Strange symbols etched into the corridor walls, small containers of bioluminescent fluid, vents releasing faintly colored mist. The station was alive with secrets, and the princess was at the heart of them. He didn't understand yet what she was or why she was here, or why everyone else seemed to want her dead. But he knew one thing, she needed him to act and he couldn't fail. The corridor narrowed into a tight maintenance shaft. Sparks flew from exposed wiring, and a low hum grew louder as the station's automated defenses kicked in. Liam gritted his teeth and climbed the rungs of a vertical ladder, holding her with one arm, the other gripping the rusted metal for balance. Her pulse faltered and a faint shiver ran through her glowing body. Liam whispered, "Almost there, just a little further." A door loomed above. He reached it, but it was locked electronically. A red light blinked insistently. Liam cursed under his breath. There was no time for formalities. He kicked the panel with his boot, sparks spraying. The lock clicked open. He hauled the princess through the doorway, barely avoiding the sudden lunge of the drone that had followed him. He slammed the door and twisted the handle, trapping the machine outside. For a breath, silence settled over them, except for the soft, strained whistling of her breath. He set her down gently on a raised maintenance platform. She looked at him, fear and trust mixed in her wide, luminous eyes. "Human," she whispered, the word strange but clear. "You saved me." "I'm not done yet," Liam said, scanning the room for any exit. He noticed a narrow service elevator at the far end. It might be their way out, but it was powered down, wires hanging loose. He ran over, inspecting the panel. His janitor's instincts kicked in. He had fixed worse with duct tape, a screwdriver, and a little luck. He twisted a metal rod, wedged it between two circuits, and the elevator shuddered. It might not be safe, but it moved. Suddenly, a shadow shifted across the far wall. Liam turned sharply. The silhouette of a figure, tall and cloaked, watched from above the grated catwalk. He froze. Was it a spy? Another drone operator? He couldn't tell, and the shadow vanished before he could act. His stomach sank. Whoever, or whatever, was tracking them wasn't giving up. The princess coughed weakly, a soft glow pulsing faster under her skin. Liam realized something terrifying. Every second they delayed, her life hung by a thinner thread. He hoisted her back into his arms, determination hardening his chest. He knew he couldn't fail, not now, not ever. The elevator rattled and groaned, sparks flying, but it began its slow descent. Below them, dark corridors stretched endlessly, and somewhere within them waited more danger, more questions, and more enemies than he could count. Liam's heart raced. He whispered to the princess, "We're almost out. Hang on." But even as he spoke, a metallic crash echoed from the corridor below, the sound of heavy footsteps, far too many to be friendly. And then, from somewhere deep in the station, a low, resonant hum began to rise, a sound that didn't belong to any human machine. The princess stiffened. Her eyes widened in fear, her glow flickering like a candle in the wind. Liam froze, feeling it too. Whatever this was, it was coming straight for them. He had carried her this far. Now the next choice might cost them both. Liam's arms ached, but he didn't dare put the princess down. Her fragile body seemed lighter than air one moment, heavier than stone the next. The elevator groaned under their combined weight, sparks flying from exposed panels as it jolted downward. Every floor they passed, a new hum of danger grew louder, a mechanical rhythm that seemed almost alive. Liam clenched his jaw. They weren't alone. Whatever stalked them in the shadows was still moving, still hunting. The doors hissed open onto the lower level and Liam swung his legs over the edge. The corridor stretched ahead, wider and darker than the maintenance shaft, with pipes snaking along the walls like metallic vines. He glanced down at the princess. Her skin pulsed faintly with green and blue light, weaker than before. She was trying to speak, but only a broken hum escaped. Her gaze flickered toward the shadows and Liam followed it. A figure lurked at the far end, shrouded in a long cloak that shimmered unnaturally in the low light. The figure moved with quiet, precise steps, faster than any human should be able to. "Stay behind me," Liam whispered, pressing her against his chest. His own heart pounded. He didn't know what she was, what species, what abilities, but he knew this. She was in danger and she depended entirely on him. Every instinct screamed that hesitation meant death. He moved forward, stepping over broken cables and puddles of spilled coolant. The figure watched, unblinking. Then, suddenly, it darted aside, vanishing through a side doorway before Liam could react. Relief was fleeting. The corridors were a maze, full of turns, traps, and dead ends. Liam's mind raced. He had cleaned these halls hundreds of times, but tonight, every familiar landmark seemed foreign, every shadow threatening. He had to make choices fast. One wrong turn and the princess might not survive. A sudden clatter behind him made him whip around. A small security drone, armed with a pulsing energy taser, hovered in pursuit. It scanned relentlessly, red sensors locking onto the princess's glowing body. Liam adjusted his grip, shifting her weight and ducking under the drone's line of fire. Sparks sizzled along the walls where its taser grazed metal. He kicked a loose pipe. The drone stumbled, wobbling midair, giving them a fraction of a second. "Run!" he shouted, voice echoing off the steel walls. He sprinted toward a side hatch leading into the ventilation shafts. The princess's luminescence flickered with each movement. Her breathing was shallow, and every pulse of her glowing skin sent shivers down Liam's spine. He had no medical training, just a janitor's hands and human determination. But he had never backed down from a challenge and he refused to start now. The vent was tight. Liam ducked and twisted, maneuvering with her in his arms. The metal grated under his boots, and the faint hum of the station systems vibrated through the floor. He could hear the drone struggling below, trying to locate them, but the vent's narrow entrance was too small. For a moment, a small victory, a micro payoff, breathed hope into the chaos. Then the hum changed. It was deeper now, resonating through the walls like the growl of some enormous beast. Liam froze, feeling it under his boots and against his arms. The princess stiffened, her skin pulsing faster. He whispered, "What is it?" but she couldn't answer. Her eyes darted down the shaft, and the color of her glow shifted to a sharp, almost blinding white. Liam realized with a jolt that the sound was not mechanical, it was alive. Something else was in the station, something they had not expected. He had no choice but to keep moving. Each step in the vent was a gamble. Loose screws and jagged metal threatened to tear at them. A faint drip echoed from somewhere above, and Liam's mind filled with worst-case scenarios. Falling, the princess collapsing, whatever was hunting them catching up. Yet he pressed on. Fear sharpened his focus, and he relied on what he knew: the structure of the station, the patterns of its corridors, the shortcuts he had memorized during late-night cleaning shifts. At a junction, the vent split in two directions. Liam paused, weighing his options. A glance at the princess told him she couldn't survive a longer path. He chose the narrower route, even though it twisted and tilted unpredictably. Halfway through, a sudden tremor rattled the shaft. A loose panel above them dislodged, falling with a metallic clang. Liam caught it with his elbow, gritting his teeth as sparks danced dangerously close to their feet. The princess gasped, a melodic, broken sound that cut through the tension. Liam murmured, "I've got you just a little further," and his heart ached at the sight of her fragile glow flickering. They emerged into another maintenance corridor and Liam let himself catch a breath. Only for a heartbeat. The shadow of the cloaked figure appeared again, now joined by a second figure that Liam hadn't noticed before. They moved with unnatural coordination, scanning, calculating. Liam's stomach sank. Whatever these creatures or humans were, they weren't alone and they weren't stopping. He spotted a door at the end of the corridor marked emergency access. It might lead to the medbay or somewhere safe. He sprinted toward it, every step sending sparks flying from the floor where his boots scraped broken conduits. The princess whimpered, weak but conscious, and Liam felt a surge of determination. She had trusted him, relied on him when the odds were impossible, and he would not fail her. He reached the door and slammed his shoulder into the panel. It rattled but held. Sparks showered around them and the hum of the station grew louder, deeper, threatening. Liam's hands flew over the control interface trying to override the lock. The shadow figures were closer now. Red lights glinted in the distance, and he realized the next seconds would decide everything. The panel clicked. The door opened, revealing a narrow hallway bathed in faint white emergency lighting. Liam took a step forward, carrying the princess with renewed strength. He dared a glance back, and the shadow figures froze at the corridor's edge, their forms flickering as if they were more than human. And then the floor beneath them vibrated violently. The station groaned like a living thing, warning of danger they could not yet see. Liam's stomach dropped. He tightened his grip on the princess, whispered, "Hold on," and stepped into the unknown. Something was coming, and it was bigger, faster, and more dangerous than anything he had faced yet. Liam pressed forward down the narrow emergency corridor, his arms aching under the weight of the princess. Her glow pulsed weakly, flickering like a candle in the wind. Every step sent a shiver through her body, and he whispered reassurances she could barely hear. "Almost there, just a little further," he murmured, though he had no real idea how much further they had to go. The station's hum had grown darker, heavier, almost alive, and Liam felt it pressing on his chest with every step. Ahead, the corridor opened into a small atrium filled with medical equipment, most of it dormant. The emergency lights cast long shadows and Liam froze. Something was wrong. A flicker of movement caught his eye. A figure in a pale uniform moved with unnatural smoothness between the machines. Not human. Not quite. Its face was hidden behind a mask, and its movements were precise, deliberate, calculated. Liam didn't hesitate. He ducked behind a console, pressing the princess against his chest. She whimpered softly, her glowing eyes wide with fear. "Stay still," he whispered, holding her as tightly as he could without crushing her. The figure paused, tilting its head as if listening, then advanced slowly. Liam scanned the atrium for anything that could help. A tangle of exposed wiring hung from the ceiling. Sparks flew from a nearby console. His heart hammered, he had to act fast. He grabbed a loose panel and threw it across the floor. Sparks erupted as it hit the ground, the noise and light making the figure hesitate. That gave Liam the moment he needed. He darted forward, running for a small medbay door at the far end. The figure lunged, but Liam slid under a falling piece of debris, narrowly avoiding it. He yanked the door open and shoved the princess inside, slamming it shut behind them. Inside, the medbay was cold and sterile, but the machines blinked to life when Liam crossed the threshold. He laid the princess on a bed, carefully adjusting her so she was comfortable. Her pulse was faint, and he could see the subtle flicker of her glowing skin, struggling to maintain its rhythm. Liam's hands shook slightly as he tried to stabilize her. He wasn't a doctor, not even remotely trained, but he refused to give up. Then he saw it, a small metallic object partially embedded near her shoulder. He picked it up carefully. The princess's eyes widened in shock and fear. The object was a biochip, humming with faint energy, etched with alien symbols Liam couldn't read. His pulse quickened. He had no idea what it did, but he knew it was important. Something in the station, something pursuing them, wanted it desperately. A sudden noise made him spin. Another figure had entered the medbay, a bounty hunter of some sort, disguised as a technician. Its presence radiated danger, the kind that made even Liam's nerves tighten. "I don't know what you are," Liam said firmly, voice steady though his body trembled, "but you're not taking her." The hunter tilted its head. "You shouldn't be here," it said in a voice too calm for the situation. Then it lunged, swift and precise, aiming for the biochip. Liam reacted on instinct, swinging a metal tray like a club. The hunter blocked it, sparks flying as the metal collided with an armored wrist. Liam's mind raced. He couldn't fight like this, he needed clever, not brute force. He grabbed a container of bioluminescent fluid from the shelf and hurled it at the hunter. The container shattered, spilling bright liquid that lit the room in surreal colors. The hunter froze, blinking against the sudden light. Liam seized the moment. He shoved the hunter backward with all his strength, buying himself enough time to secure the biochip. The princess stirred, weak but conscious. She whispered fragments of her language, melodic and broken. Liam leaned close, trying to catch the words. Empire, secrets, danger, trust human. She paused, exhausted, her pulse fading. Liam's heart ached. He didn't understand all of it, but he understood enough. The biochip contained something the Empire would kill for, and she trusted him with it. He realized something else, something terrifying. Whoever sent the hunter knew exactly where they were. The shadowy figures weren't random, they were tracking the biochip. And now that Liam had it, the danger had multiplied. Every choice from this moment on would have consequences that could ripple across the station, or the galaxy. Liam's hands trembled as he secured the chip in his pocket, hiding it under his jacket. The hunter had recovered and now circled the room, waiting, calculating. Liam's mind raced. There was no way out if he stayed in the medbay. He needed an escape plan, something no one would expect. He scanned the room, eyes landing on the ventilation shafts above. They were narrow, risky, but they might be their only chance. He looked at the princess. Her eyes glimmered faintly in trust and fear. I can do this, he whispered, more to himself than to her. I won't let you die. He hoisted her into his arms, feeling her fragile weight, the biochip secured safely. Every step was a calculation, every movement measured. The hunter advanced, its movements precise, but Liam had one advantage, the element of surprise. He vaulted onto a maintenance ladder, pulling himself and the princess up into the shaft. The hunter lunged, but Liam kicked a panel, sending sparks and metal flying. The hunter stumbled, giving them the precious seconds they needed. Liam crawled through the narrow space, heart pounding, sweat dripping into his eyes. He had no idea what awaited them, but he knew one thing. He had survived this far by thinking, by acting, by refusing to give in. Halfway through the shaft, a sudden tremor shook the station. Dust and debris rained down, the hum of the station rising to a roar. Liam's heart sank. Something massive was moving below them. Something alive, something that didn't belong in the mechanical halls. The princess's glow flickered violently, her pulse racing. Liam whispered urgently, "Hold on. We're almost out." But the station wasn't done testing him yet. Ahead, the vent twisted sharply downward, a narrow drop that could fling them into the darkness below. Liam tightened his grip, bracing for the fall. Every instinct screamed danger, yet he moved with purpose. He had carried her this far. He wouldn't fail now. As they fell, the lights flickered, shadows danced across the walls, and the distant hum became a roar that vibrated through Liam's chest. He caught a glimpse of something massive moving below, a shape too large to be human, too precise to be random. His heart pounded in his ears. He realized, with a mix of awe and terror, that the station itself was alive in ways he hadn't imagined. And then, just as the vent dropped into darkness, a loud crash echoed from below. The princess gasped, her light flaring brightly. Liam tightened his grip, bracing for what came next. Whatever awaited them in the darkness, it would change everything. The vent spat them out into a wider corridor, and Liam landed hard, twisting to absorb the impact while keeping the princess safe in his arms. Her glow was brighter now, though uneven, pulsing in fear and exhaustion. The station groaned around them, metal walls vibrating as if alive. The hum had grown deafening, a low, resonant vibration that made every nerve in Liam's body ache. He pressed his back to the wall, scanning the corridor. The sight that greeted him made his stomach drop. The corridor was flooded with soldiers, dozens of them, fully armored and moving with cold precision. Red lights glinted from their helmets, and energy rifles glimmered in the dim emergency lighting. At their center, a figure stepped forward, taller and more commanding than the rest. Liam's heart stuttered. It was the princess's own empire, the very people who wanted her biochip, her life, gone. And now they had him. The princess whimpered softly, her glow flickering dangerously. "Liam," she whispered. Her trust in him was absolute, and he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down like gravity. There was no time to plan. There was no place to hide. Every second they hesitated, the Empire closed the distance. He took a deep breath, tightening his grip on the princess. "We're not finished yet," he muttered under his breath. "Not by a long shot." His janitor instincts, quick thinking, improvisation and courage had carried them this far. Now they had to carry them through the impossible. He darted to the side, pulling her behind a pile of crates. Sparks flew from a damaged conduit above, and he used them as cover, hurling a metal tray at one of the advancing soldiers. It clanged against the armor, a loud distraction, and Liam seized the moment to leap to another set of crates. The soldiers hesitated, their formation faltering. A small victory, a micro payoff, but fleeting. He knew it wouldn't last long. The princess groaned, weak but conscious. Liam's mind raced. He needed a path, a way to get them out of here, fast. He spotted a maintenance ladder leading to an upper service deck. It was risky, a long climb under fire, but it might lead to a route no one expected. "Come on," he whispered to her, voice steady despite the chaos. He hoisted her slightly higher and started the climb, one hand gripping the ladder, the other keeping her secure. Energy blasts sizzled past, scorching the crates, and one soldier reached out, firing at them. Liam twisted sideways, narrowly avoiding the beam, and kicked the attacker away with all his strength. Sparks flew as metal collided with metal. The princess shivered violently, her pulse flickering faster. Liam whispered, "You can do this. Just a little longer." His heart pounded, every muscle screaming, but he refused to falter. Halfway up the ladder, the station groaned again. A ceiling panel above dislodged, clanging down toward them. Liam caught it with one arm, barely keeping it from crushing them both. The soldiers below shouted, moving faster, closer, but Liam had a sudden idea. He reached into his jacket and pulled out the biochip. He tapped a sequence he had memorized from watching the station systems earlier. The lights around them flickered, doors clanged, and a vent panel slammed shut just in time to block the soldiers' path. The micro payoff was brief but vital. For a moment the Empire's forces were delayed, and Liam had a narrow path open above. He pushed upward, climbing faster, the princess's glow pulsing in rhythm with his racing heart. He could hear her whispering fragments of her language, melodic and urgent. Liam didn't understand the words, but he understood the meaning: trust, hope, survival. And he would not fail her. At the top of the ladder, a grated service deck stretched before him. He crawled onto it, carefully balancing the princess, and froze. The figure from before, the cloaked observer, was there, standing silently, watching. Its eyes glimmered like twin stars, unnervingly calm in the chaos. Liam's stomach tightened. Was it friend or foe? There was no time to find out. He sprinted past, using crates and pipes as cover, dodging blasts from soldiers below. They reached a service elevator at the end of the deck. Liam slammed his shoulder into the panel, sparks spraying as the lock resisted. The cloaked figure moved, but Liam didn't look back. He had one focus: survival. The elevator shuddered and descended, groaning under their combined weight. Below, the soldiers attempted to break through the vent they had just left, and above, the cloaked observer disappeared into the shadows, enigmatic and unrelenting. The medbay's doors loomed ahead, and Liam nearly stumbled in relief. He set the princess down gently on the bed, checking her pulse. She was stabilizing, though weak, her glow a soft, trembling light. He adjusted the biochip in his pocket, hidden, safe for now. For a fleeting moment, a micro payoff. He had brought her this far, defied the Empire, outsmarted their hunters. But the station wasn't done. A low, rumbling vibration shook the medbay. The walls rattled, the lights flickered. Liam's stomach sank. The hum, the living, threatening hum of the station, had returned, louder, deeper. He looked at the princess. Her wide eyes reflected fear he could not share, and yet in that moment he felt an unspoken bond. He would fight to the last breath for her, no matter the cost. Then a voice crackled over the station intercom, metallic and cold: "Human subject identified. Surrender the princess and biochip immediately or be terminated." Liam's jaw tightened. He glanced at the glowing girl in his arms. He could surrender and live, but she wouldn't survive, not with the Empire soldiers waiting. He clenched his fists, determination burning hotter than fear. "Not a chance," he muttered. The medbay door shuddered. The first soldiers had arrived. Liam scanned for options: vents, emergency hatches, anything. His heart hammered. This was it, the ultimate test. One wrong move and the Empire would claim both their lives. And then, from the corner of the room, a faint shimmer appeared, almost invisible. Liam froze. The biochip pulsed violently in response, sending waves of light across the medbay. The princess stiffened, glowing brighter than ever, as if warning him. Liam's mind raced. The next move would decide everything. Something inside the station had awakened. Something massive. Something waiting. And it was coming for them. The medbay doors groaned under the weight of the approaching soldiers, and Liam tightened his grip on the princess's hand. Her pulse was steadier now, her glow faint but alive, a fragile ember in the storm around them. The biochip in his pocket throbbed faintly, its alien energy responding to the presence of danger. Every instinct in Liam's body screamed that surrender meant death, not just for him but for her. He refused to falter. He scanned the room, noting every detail: the emergency hatch above, the scattered medical equipment, the narrow service corridors leading out. He had no time to plan, only to act. "We're going to get through this," he whispered, voice steady despite the adrenaline burning in his veins. The princess's eyes flickered trust at him, and he drew courage from that small connection. Humans were fragile, yes, but determination, intelligence, and courage could turn impossible odds into victories. He grabbed a rolling medical tray and shoved it toward the approaching soldiers. Sparks flew as the energy rifles met the metal, and the soldiers staggered back, momentarily thrown off. Liam seized the moment, hauling the princess toward the emergency hatch. She shivered violently and he murmured, "Almost there, stay with me." He yanked open the hatch, revealing a narrow, twisting maintenance shaft. It was their only path, their last chance. As they descended into the cramped space, the station groaned, walls vibrating, the hum of the station growing louder, deeper. Liam had no idea what force stirred beneath the metal veins of the station, but he felt it pressing against them, threatening to tear their escape apart. He moved quickly, carefully balancing the princess in his arms, taking each step with precision. The shaft twisted, jutted, and dipped sharply, but Liam's determination pushed him forward. Halfway through, he felt the walls shiver under a violent impact. The station itself seemed alive, responding to the chaos, as though some great entity had awakened. The princess stiffened, her glow brightening, pulsing rapidly. Liam whispered urgently, "I've got you. Just a little longer." His voice was steady but his chest pounded. He knew this was a pivotal moment. If he failed, everything they had endured, the chase, the battles, the sacrifices, would be for nothing. They emerged into a wide corridor leading toward the outer med bay, the princess's glow illuminating the path. Soldiers blocked the far end, but Liam had a sudden thought. He ran to a control panel on the wall, the biochip still safe in his pocket. He pressed a few buttons instinctively, recalling sequences from his brief observations of the station systems. The lights flickered, emergency doors slammed shut, and the soldiers found themselves trapped in a maze of locked corridors. The narrow victory gave Liam a window, a chance to reach safety. He sprinted, the princess cradled against his chest, her pulse steadier now, her eyes tracking every movement. The Empire's forces shouted behind him, frustrated, but the station's chaos worked in their favor. Liam's mind worked faster than fear, calculating each step, predicting each obstacle. They dodged debris, slid under fallen panels, and used the emergency lighting as cover. Every move was life or death, and Liam's human ingenuity made the impossible seem possible. Finally, the outer medbay doors appeared. Liam slammed them open, and a corridor led them outside the station into the docking bay. Ships lined the hangar, engines idling, lights blinking. He could hear the distant hum of approaching reinforcements, but he didn't stop. The princess's glow had stabilized, her pulse steady enough to offer hope. Liam carried her across the floor, weaving between crates and small service vehicles, until he reached a small neutral vessel he had noticed earlier. Its hatch was open, empty. Safety, or at least temporary safety, was within reach. He climbed aboard and laid her gently on the floor. The biochip hummed faintly in response to her proximity, as if acknowledging their survival. Liam knelt beside her, checking her pulse. She was alive. She was safe. The Empire had chased them, hunted them, but for now, Liam had won. The human janitor, underestimated, ordinary in every way, had outwitted, outmaneuvered, and outlasted forces that could have crushed him. The princess stirred, whispering in her melodic, broken tongue. Liam didn't understand all the words, but he understood enough. Gratitude, trust, and a plea for protection. He smiled, exhausted but alive, knowing the stakes were higher than ever. They had survived, but the war for the biochip, and for her life, was far from over. The vessel lifted off, moving quickly into the blackness of space. Liam pressed his hand to the princess's shoulder, feeling the faint warmth beneath her glowing skin. "We made it," he said softly, though both of them knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would not forget, and the secrets within the biochip could ignite conflict across star systems. Yet, for the first time in what felt like eternity, Liam allowed himself a breath of relief. Human courage, intelligence, and compassion had carried them this far. As the hangar lights faded behind them, a deep vibration shook the vessel. The princess stiffened again, her glow pulsing urgently. Liam glanced down at her, concerned, and noticed a subtle shimmer spreading from the biochip. It projected tiny holographic symbols into the air, alien writings that no human should have understood. His mind raced. What did it mean? And why was the biochip reacting now? A sudden alert chimed from the vessel's dashboard. Sensors picked up a massive fleet approaching, moving faster than any standard patrol. Liam's stomach twisted. The Empire had not given up. They had traced them, perhaps even the biochip itself, and now an entire armada was bearing down. Liam's eyes narrowed, a mixture of fear and resolve washing over him. "We're not done," he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "Not by a long shot." The princess's hand touched his, faintly glowing, a silent acknowledgement. She was safe for now, but the stakes had never been higher. Whatever waited ahead, the fleet, the secrets of the biochip, the Empire's wrath, they would face it together. Liam, a simple human janitor, had carried the impossible, defied the unstoppable, and survived when no one thought he could. And somewhere in the distance, a shadow in the approaching fleet paused, its sensors locking onto their small vessel. Whatever it was, it had found them. The adventure was far from over.